couple weeks ago, I came out to this shower to do what I thought was a consultation as far as why the shower leaked, which I can never tell somebody why it leaked. Nor could I fix it, even if I could tell them, because you have to tear out the shower pan. Everything fails from ankle below, so everything from here on down, everything has to go away. Having said that, a couple of little distinguishing attributes to this tile job was the fact that they didn't waterproof. So all the fasteners, screws, nails, whatever they used to hold the backer board is just rusted up through the tile, because this is marble and it's kind of an iridescent type of tile. So yeah, which tells me that the curb failed 100%. Having said that, we have a knee wall. Knee walls fail from time to time. Benches fail. So in that order: curb, knee wall, and benches. So the trifecta is that possibly water has got into all three of them by virtue of some of the separation of the tile and the little cracks and all that stuff that happened. Because there is no waterproofing, even though this is incremental amount of water, this is on a daily, 2 or 3 times a day possibly, and you know, the effect is real. And plus they use unsanded grout, which is not really that sturdy and doesn't really do its job very well. So unbeknownst to me, I wasn't here for a consultation. I was here to do a remediation, meaning what I said before: take out 2 or 3 of these tile, the brick pattern, you know, 3-inch tile wide. Usually it'd be 3 tile up, and take all that out, take everything out from here, start over again. In this case, they don't want the bench anymore because they want some more real estate in this shower. So therefore the bench is going, which is kind of good for me because they're concerned about the knee wall and whatever damage happened to that with the 2x4s that are in there. And I can't tell that unless I were taking out the wall. So half the wall is going to go, because I'm going to take out the tile from about this spot here all the way down. I don't know if I'll do, it's not really necessary to do this wall all the way down either. However, they're coming back with a different type of marble tile. It's larger, it's a little bit wider and longer, and I think I'm putting a rope in between. So there's going to be a rope here, and then the larger tile will go down below. So because of that, yes, I have to follow that line all the way and take out all of this material, you know, 18, 20 inches up, and then everything will go. They're going to come back with a larger hexagon marble tile, which I kind of advised against. There's hexagon porcelain, which would be a better option, but they declined on that, so they're going to go back with marble. And then on the knee wall, we're going to use a porcelain, very high gloss porcelain tile that I will rip into one solid piece to go on here, and hopefully one solid piece to go on here with stainless steel Schluter, both on this side and the outside, so that it's a monolithic type of situation where you have just one little grout line. And of course the curb top will be one of those wide marble curb tops that'll go all the way around here. So yeah, that's what I'm into. I highly anticipate that there's wood rot in that curb, and that curb has failed. I also anticipate possibly a little bit of wood rot in there, although that's a moot issue since it's leaving, and possibly a little bit of wood rot there, but I don't think there's any failure. I don't think water penetrated that wall and got down to the bottom. It's more likely the curb, so we should find out. This water penetration, especially around right here in the corner, is quite prevalent. All of this wood got wet, All of this staining that you see on this wood shows me that there's been water. Well, the rusted nails show me that too. But the water penetration definitely happened on the curb. The curb failed basically. You know, and when I get into the bench and I get into the knee wall, I'll see also, I expect some water penetration to have got into there too. But these screws, like, were just, there are a couple of screws in here that look like 1.25 inch deck screws, but they're rusted and they shouldn't be because they're deck screws. But yeah, it's a shame. But had they just waterproofed, I wouldn't be here. If they had used this garbage board, none of this rusted would happen. There wouldn't be a leak down below. You know, it's a garbage job. And it's a shame too, because when they did this, it wasn't cheap. When they did this, they spent a boatload of money for this marble tile. You can tell they got a freestanding tub and a nice faucet and all that stuff. So there wasn't scrimping on the money. The glass alone, the 2 panels and the door alone was probably over $2,000. And then for them to come in with this garbage. Oh, there's a pan liner. It's just, it's ridiculous. The pan liner got cut right at the top of the curb, where arguably it was needed the most. But again, the pan liner is kind of a redundancy to what we do now, because, well, what I do now is I butter the curb. So yes, I still wrap my pan liner around the curb, and yes, I perforate it, but I butter it. Let me show you. The 2 backer boards come together, right? See that crack in there? Yeah, I don't do that. I butter the entire thing as if it were cake with thin set to make it monolithic. And then I red guard Hydroban Aqua Defense over that. So the entirety of the curb, including the fasteners, are innocuous. And it doesn't matter that I've gone through the liner. But to cut the liner short, you see, is just stupid. Like, even if I weren't using a liner the way I do it, the liner's not needed. But if you're gonna put a liner in, put it in properly, you know, like this would have saved them. I don't know, it's hard to argue the point. But if they had wrapped the liner and still done this shoddy job, I wouldn't be here now. 10 years later, it might be 15, it might be 20 years later, but eventually, it's a shame. But I knew that coming in. I knew the curb was the culprit. Strike that. The guy who built the curb was the culprit. I had to come back on here one more time. Look at this. Look at how damaged. Look at this. This is about as bad as it gets as far as water penetration into the curb. Like this wood here. I can't feel it because I got gloves on, but I guarantee it's still damp. You know, just traces. It looks like a fire. Many times when I go on a really, really bad rotted curb, it looks like it's been through a fire, and this is kind of in that category. It's just bad. Bad, 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 bad. Yeah, it's a shame. Anyway, I just wanted to show that. More than likely, when I take this curb material out, I'll come back on camera and show that, but I gotta get this floor out, my jackhammer and all that stuff. And always, if you're a shower, when you're in a shower, focus on the curb. Yes, walls, floor, pan, all that stuff, knee, wall, bench. Focus on the curb the most. Make sure that's water impenetrable. However, even if you use a foam curb, which I don't advocate, I don't like foam curbs, but it's better than what they did here. If you are a contractor, if you are doing this type of work, I highly, highly, highly recommend the Bauer. I don't have the model number. I believe it cost me just under, I want to say $300. Might be a bit more. It was $350, $375, something like that. I bought this 8 years ago, I've used this dozens of times, and I've loaned it out half a dozen times to other people I know. It does a great job busting up the shower floor and all the pan material. So yeah, definitely invest in one of these. I had been renting, you know, when I needed it, and I'm, you know, let me just buy one, and it's paid for itself. The bench. So there's no rot in the bench, yay. There's no rot in the knee wall, yay. So I don't have to worry about that. As I said before, curb is always a number one, and then it could be the knee wall and it could be the bench. One of the things I do like that they did here is that they built the bench outside of the shower pan, even though they cut the liner short. So as a rule, pan liner should be 3 inches above the curb. So if the curb is 3 inches high, then your pan liner should be 6. And this is nowhere near 6, not even over here. This is about level with the curb, maybe a little bit better. Not that it's a big deal because of the preponderance of other mistakes that they made. Having the pan liner doesn't go up all the way to, you know, the 6-inch mark doesn't really matter. But I'm just letting you know, 3 inches above the curb where the pan liner should be. So as I was saying, the bench is outside of the pan. So that if you ever had a problem with the bench, if your bench ever failed, if it leaked, etc., you could remediate that problem without dealing with the pan. If the pan ever fails, then you don't have to tear out the bench because they're not inclusive to each other, right? That's the way I do it. So good for them, they did one thing right. Well, they were a good tile person. They were a relatively good tile person, but not really into the shower building mode. I'm not saving the bench. All of this pan material with my jackhammer, thank you very much, is going to take all of this stuff out. And so I'm going to start from scratch with a pan liner all the way up around. I'll put scabbing in. I don't know if they put scabbing. I'll find out soon enough. So yeah, this is going to be one larger shower pan. And for that reason, it doesn't really matter. But if I were only doing the pan redo, then this is beautiful. You know, I don't have to deal with all the mortar and all that stuff up under where the bench is at. When they're married like that, it makes doing what I'm doing here, if it were just a pan redo, much, much harder. But since it's not, it doesn't really matter. So I'm going to disassemble this eventually. My gym membership has started. Mortar, tile, wall tile, backer board. Backer board first, mortar, tile, wall tile. No, 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 no. Don't put your backer board inside your shower pan. This is, I erroneously said that this was, look how easily this falls apart. I thought this was fiber rock, and it's not. It's Durarock. Sorry. Hardybacker. Hardybacker was set inside of the mortar pan, and it got black mold. Not a whole lot, but I don't know which part this came off. But yeah, it will wick up water, and you will get mold, regardless and despite as a cement board. So here's your tile set in the mortar pan. And then here's your staining of your water. Will it get weak and fall apart? No. But you're still going to get mold and mildew, and you're still going to get wicking. And that wicking up the board of it in itself doesn't really matter. But when it gets into your 2x4, you see, your backer board is attached to your 2x4. It wicks up water. It wicks up water. And after so much time, yeah, then you're going to leak. It can contribute, put it that way. sometimes faster than other times. Yeah. So don't do that. Don't do that. I want to address something really quick. See the drain here? A lot of people don't go on YouTube 14 years ago or 10 years ago or 12 or 8 years ago when I showed this stuff. So anytime I come across, even if it's something that I've talked about before, I'm going to talk about it again because I think it's important. Everybody has their own learning curve. When they say don't clog your weep holes, okay? These are weep holes. These 4 holes are weep holes, right? Don't clog your weep holes because that allows water to go down into the drain. It bypasses that little area and then it just kind of trickles inside of there. Those 4 theoretically keep water out of your pan. I dispute that all day long, every day, and twice on Sunday. If mortar, which is sand and cement, right, is the entirety of your shower pan, and water can get through there to get to your weep holes, then why would you think that water couldn't get through this? This is the same sand, this is the same sand, this is the same sand and mortar that is. So if it gets through there, it can get through there. On top of that, you don't have just 4 weep holes, right? So you have these troughs, these little trough areas, these trough areas. This one has a lot, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So there's 8 of these troughs that allow water. See the little cutout? So water can just like jump over there and go down into the trough same way. Then that's replicated at the bottom. So there's a trough on the top and the trough on the bottom, the cutout. The cutout here for where the bolts are at, big mamma jamma, right? As opposed to the weep hole, small mamma jamma. So water can still get through here, still get through here, still get through your troughs, and then you have a cutout in your drain. So when you screw your barrel down, this cutout, and there's 2 on this drain, these cutouts allow water to get through the threads of your barrel and down inside of there, as well as there's a lot of egress for water. But anybody that purports you can clog up weep holes and that will cause a failure is full of it. Straight up. Now, if you did some caulking in here, yes. If you threw some rocks in here, some pebbles, right? You got a hard pebble and you end up clogging your weep holes because they tell you to put pebbles, you know, like little rocks and stuff like that. A rock is dense, and as you're packing down your mortar, yeah, a rock can get stuck in there. And water's gonna have a harder time getting past that rock than it will the sand. You know, I don't mean to be a maverick. It's just that I use common sense and logic and critical thinking. And when I think about this stuff years and years ago, I'm going, you guys are full of BS. Because you read it in a book somewhere. Anyway, enough of the rant. Let's see what they did here. So, they cut a circle, which I don't like. I'd rather cut an X. Cut circles here, which I don't like. I'd rather cut an X there as well. There's no caulking up under here, so if the drain backed up, theoretically you could get under the pan liner and then onto your subfloor, right? But guess what else they did? This is kind of entertaining. Ish. Yes, folks, this is a pre-slope. So, if you don't do a pre-slope, your shower will fail. If you don't do a pre-slope, your shower is going to fail. Water is not going to be able to get down. And they did a pre-slope and their shower failed. Yes, arguably they did a lot of other stuff wrong. But look here. This shower's been dry. They haven't used this shower for weeks and weeks now, right? Maybe even months. I'll check to find out for sure. For the most part, it's kind of dried out if it was wet. And this hasn't. This wood wicked up water which got up under the pan liner and onto the pre-slope, so it's still wet. And the mortar, when I took it out, was a little bit wet in this area too. There's a lot of moisture going on here, which is not good. There's a lot of screw-ups that they did on this shower. But the one thing that I never do is a pre-slope, and I've only seen one twice. Once a homeowner did it, and then on this one, and it still didn't help anything. All right, this is a final look, like it never even happened. That's when I do shower pan redos. I always like to make sure that it's very intentional. So this little 3x6 tile they couldn't get, so they just upgraded to, what is that, a 4x12. So we did a rope pencil, if you will, to separate. Remember there was a bench over there, got rid of that. What else? Really nothing else. It's kind of the same tile on the floor except bigger. Used my friend's radial saw to cut these big 3-foot long fake marble porcelain pieces, and that thing was not easy. I managed to get it on point. I put a little bit of slope on this top here, so the grout line's a little larger than what I want. Schluter on the outside, Schluter on the inside. Now the glass goes back, and I don't know what else to say about this. So this shower pan redo, if you remember from the very beginning, it was a leak, and I had to take everything out from that tile down, get rid of everything down to the subfloor, replace everything. And that's basically what it amounts to. Then instead of baseboard, I just ran tile all the way because it's a 6-inch curve now. When I wrote down the measurements, so if you look on there, this is 28 and this is 37 for that piece of glass that's already cut. This is 28, perfect, and 37, perfect. So the glass should definitely fit going forward. But that's it. Not much to say. Oh, taper cuts. Taper cuts that do drain. I always like doing those so I have positive water flow. Oh, I gotta clean out that drain. Yeah, I like the taper cuts. My tile goes slightly above the drain cap, and then I do individual cuts, little taper, so positive water flow happens. And that's about it. That's all I can say. Nothing left to say. I'm out.
Hey, if you enjoyed that video and you learned something, consider being a Patreon member. $5, $10, $15 a month would help me greatly produce more videos. I make nothing from YouTube at all. If you're going to call me for advice, please donate $50 for 30 minutes. My link to my PayPal and my Patreon account is down below. And if you haven't already, hit the subscribe button and hit the bell so you get immediate notifications as soon as I post videos. And thank you very much for your support.